I wanted to own my own restaurant. I was very nervous about opening a restaurant in Maine because the seasonality of it. This was about 16 years ago. I said, you know what, I'm gonna just go for it, and if it doesn't work, I'll go somewhere else. All the natural beauty, all the wild food, the wild mushrooms, wild blueberries, wild sea greens, the seafood. We wanted to be on the coast. Someone had dined at our restaurant in Rockland, and they were building a new JW Marriott in Orlando. They said, what is it gonna take to do this? And I said, you know, I really don't know if Primo is made for the corporate world, but I wanna be able to purchase my ingredients from farmers. I want to be able to hire the staff, specifically the management team, the chef and the general manager, the supervisors, and I want to have control of the menu and the wine list. And they said, okay, and I'm like, oh no, now I really have to do this. So Primo spawned this whole culinary movement in Orlando. It was good timing for me to close here seasonally because it allowed me a chunk of time to spend in the other locations. And then since Primo in Orlando was so successful, they said, why don't you join us and we'll do another Primo. And then I said, there's no way I can spread myself this thin. And I went out to Tucson and I just really fell in love. The mountains, the desert, the farmer's market. I would think you couldn't grow anything in the desert, but let me tell you, we have the longest growing season, the best growing season, and we have amazing farmers out there. I change my menu a little bit daily, incrementally. And the reason I do that is because I grow most of my food. We build a relationship with our animals. It's an amazing process when you know exactly what your food ate the whole time, how they lived from day one to the end. So the dish that I'm making for you is pork salt and boca. My grandfather, who I named my restaurant after, his name is Primo Magnani. He was from Bologna, and he was a butcher. And so he used to bring home all these crazy cuts of meat. Those are the cuts of meat that are so inexpensive, but if you know how to use a whole animal, you can really profit. We debone the pork loin, but I leave a little bit of meat on the bone because we're gonna use the ribs as their own dish. Every little scrap, we take all the fat off the animals and we render the fat. We make lard. Sometimes I use the lard in my fryer, but sometimes we cook with it or we bake with it. We make some of our pastry doughs with lard. We take cracklings and we make a pork crackling cookie with ginger. Well, the pork belly, obviously, that's all the rage, so that's easy to sell, but the scraps will turn into sausage. How we serve this at the restaurant is we cut 2 3-ounce medallions and then we pound them out. You hear this all day in my kitchen. And then we portion it 2 3-ounce pieces and it ends up looking like this. So the whole dish is a layered dish. Salt and boca in Italian means just jump in the mouth. So it's just a big burst of flavor. I cook with a lot of fresh herbs and a lot of greens. One is because I have the garden and the capability but I love the fresh flavor. So having 3 restaurants in 3 different parts of the country can be pretty tricky. Got a phone call and they're like, Chef, we need you to come down to Orlando. We're having a couple issues. And so sometimes you have to be prepared to do that, which is not always on my agenda. But the key really is having a great team. As a chef, building relationships with farmers takes time. It takes sometimes years, but as long as I have communication and they call me and say, this week the ducks are really small. If they communicate to me, this is what I have, I can plan for it. I bring the chefs and the managers from the other location up to Maine so they can really understand what I want Primo to be, the culture, the feel, the vibe, the ambiance. So we put prosciutto down right on top of the spinach, and this is prosciutto that we made from our pig legs. And that just adds like another layer of flavor, a little salt, and then the pork right on top. You could do this with chicken or veal. We've even done it with monkfish here in Maine. Simple.